Okay, I think that we're on, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll just, okay, I think that we're on now. It says live. So I'm looking forward to making sure that I've got everyone on board. And I'm excited to be here. So I'm going to wait a few minutes because I know that some of you have already said that you've been waiting for me. And I think you're coming on as I speak. So hi, thanks for joining me today. I'm really excited that you're here for this free webinar. I've missed you guys. I think it's been, I don't know, a few months since we've done a free webinar, right? So it's about time. So I'm really looking forward to this and kind of maybe give a different perspective on how we use imagery and healing and maybe some additional information that may make that difference for some of you who are working with imagery and meditation and healing. I'm just, really, my mind's been, I guess I should say, so much more engaged in the healing process these days. I think I've just happened to be reading across some friends and people that I know that really could use a lot of help. And when I ask them, like, what are you doing to assist the healing process, they often don't have a clue of what I'm talking about. They're so used to saying, oh, the doctor's doing this for me, or the doctor's doing that for me, or I'm taking some new medication, or I'm going to go through a new, whole series of chemo or radiation therapy, and it's always about something that's being done to them instead of them taking charge of their own body, of their own healing. We are the ones that have the greatest influence on our bodies. And so today I want to speak more along those lines as to how can we participate more in the healing process. What can you do more specifically with your imagery? Maybe how to apply the imagery, maybe a little bit more of a different take on imagery, excuse me, and the healing process as well. So, I'm here for you. So if there's anything that I can help you with, anything that I can do along the way, just ask me. There's an area where you can write your comments. So make sure that you write your comments there, and I'll be checking from time to time and reloading that page because I need to reload it to see any new comments or questions or whatever that may be. So again, I'm so happy you're here. Thank you. Thank you so much for showing up. I'm so excited and so pleased that you have made it. I think most of you know I'm Silva Quesada, and today's webinar is called Return to Wholeness, putting yourself back together, basically. And I say putting yourself back together because sometimes when we're not whole, it feels like parts of us have either are disappeared, left, or are unattended to. And I think we need to really connect with those parts of us to bring it back together and feel whole and complete in every way. And we do a lot of that, if you notice, through imagery, because imagery is like the mind thinking in pictures. Some people sometimes say, well, I don't picture anything. And they often say the word see. I can't see anything. I can't see anything. And the thing is that's a good thing. I don't want you to see with your mind. You see with your eyes, not with the mind. The mind does imagery. It pictures. It has an idea. It remembers. And we've talked before about the two sides of the coin of imagery. One's visualization and the other one is imagination. Visualization is recalling something that you have seen or experienced before. So if you were to tell me what you wore yesterday, or what you had for dinner last night, or what you did in your last vacation, you would be visualizing. Imagination is creating something for the first time, like what you're going to maybe make for dinner. But once you create it, it's already been impressed on your brain cells. And every time you rethink it, you are remembering it. So you're visualizing. So imagination is kind of interesting because it's only the first time that you create the image that you can actually say it's imagination. Otherwise, it's visualization. But imagery is how the mind perceives or transforms words, feelings, emotions, experience into some image, into some form. And everybody can do that. Everybody can image, no matter what. Yeah, you might not be seeing with your mind, but that's a good thing, as I mentioned earlier, but you are picturing something. Something always comes to mind. So what the mind does is find or discovers or it creates a mental picture or form. It's going to give your thoughts, your feelings, your words, anything, a mental picture or a form of some kind. It's often non-logical. And I think that's what makes it so effective in healing, is that we don't have to be logical in our thinking to heal. We can be very illogical so long as it makes sense to you. If it makes sense to you, if it causes a sensation within you of pleasure, of hope, of healing, something good inside you, if it moves you inside in some way, then it's resonating with you. Even if it's an illogical image of health and healing, it's okay. Your brain, your body, your mind, your spirit understands that. And again, it's going to be very unique to you. But imagery always helps us to connect with our inner subjective reality and can be accompanied by physiological changes as well. And that's the important thing we want to make sure that we understand, that it does have a reality of its own, even though it's subjective. It may be almost non-linear, and it may be not illogical in some ways. It is definitely accompanied by physiological changes. And we can see that if you think or picture something happy, it's going to make you feel happy. It's going to release happy hormones inside you and a happy chemistry inside you. If you think or picture something that's negative or very horrible in some ways, it's going to cause those physiological changes in you as well. I sometimes say to the students in my class, put your hands together really quickly and see how the hands fall and look at it. Okay, now get the short. Sometimes, we usually have one hand longer or sits on the other one a little bit higher than the other one. Now get the shorter one and shake it. And you might want to do that right now. Shake it, but as you shake it, think of it as like maybe a hand made of rubber, and that every time you shake it, the rubber extends and gets longer and longer as your fingers get longer and longer and longer and longer. The more you shake your hand, it gets longer and longer and longer, and you picture your hand like a rubber hand that's with the fingers getting longer and longer and longer and longer, and then bring your hands together again, and you go, whoa, wow, that's crazy, isn't it? Now, obviously, my hands are probably fall in that position, but the point I'm making here is that your body's going to respond. It's going to give you what you're picturing. It's going to give you what you want. And as long as you know that your mental images are creating some kind of movement in your body, you might as well make the mental pictures or the mental images something that is going to be healing to your body, because your body will respond. In as little and simple as this little demonstration was, it makes a point. Your body delivers. So when you are not feeling well, if you are in a state of illness or of dis-ease, then you want to make sure that you're very congruently are picturing things that are going to assist the healing process or make you feel better or imagine a positive outcome, whatever it is. You have only everything to gain and nothing to lose, okay? We've always referred to the body as being made up of spirit, mind, emotions, and of course, the body itself. And when we think about the body as a whole, we typically think about those four parts of the body, but it's just all comes together as one. It's just one thing. But the interesting part here is that the mind, the spirit, and the emotions fall into the category of spiritual or intangible, invisible part of you, and often are clumped together in mind. So you say mind-body experience, but mind is not just the mind. It is also emotions, and it is the spirit as well. So all that encompasses feelings, beliefs, your thinking process, all your attitudes, your fears, your joys, everything, your intentions, everything is clumped together in one category that's broadly called mind. And so when we talk about mind-body connection or body-mind connection, you just need to remember that mind is a very loaded category. It's not just mind, the thinking process. It's so much more than that, okay? But that's for our understanding here. And all those things, that beliefs, emotions, all these things, attitudes, feelings, all these things are intangible, invisible, and is a very real part of our body. And the other part would be the part that you can see, your physical part. So the mental and the physical are commonly seen as comprising two sides of a mirror that we call the body. So you have body and mind. Those are two parts. Again, knowing that the mind is jam-packed with a lot of other facets to it, that we mentioned already. So we just want to make sure we understand that. And it's really that invisible part of us has always been so misunderstood, even by medicine. And it's misunderstood probably because of its nature, because it is invisible, because it is spiritual, because it is subjective, because it is intangible. It almost seems like it's unimportant, where it's probably, I don't know, not probably, it is the most important part of your body, of your living experience, of the way you have or live your life. And sadly enough, that part of us, the most important part of our body that has to do a lot with health and our living experience, has been taken out of the equation by Western medicine for hundreds of years already. And this hasn't been till maybe the latter part of last century, maybe the 1960s, maybe 50s. The latter part is when you start to see more and more people in the medical fields or researchers or scientists bring about the whole idea of how mind does, in fact, or the psyche does affect the immune system and or then the body itself. So the term that came up from that was called psychoneuroimmunology. And that's a branch of psychology that studies the effect that the psyche has over the immune system and the body and health. And it has evolved. It has evolved considerably in the decades, the past 5 decades or 6 decades or so, but not enough. You still end up going to a lot of doctors who don't believe in voodoo medicine, as some of them put it, when they talk about acupuncture or chiropractic medicine, which I'm a high believer of, and sports medicine and functional medicine and all these kinds of other things. A lot of doctors still aren't on board. So you've got to do your job. When it comes to the healing process, you have to play a role in your healing and how you're going to become more whole and complete, return to wholeness, return to being healthy all over again. And sadly enough, the body has become in medicine so fragmented. I mean, you have loads of different doctors for every single little part or symptom or element, for that involves your body. I remember when my husband had to get a pacemaker, and of course he had the heart doctor, he had the biomedical doctor, and then he had, the bacteria type doctor, and then he had the doctor who, the list went on and on and on and on and on. And if you were going to do any kind of study, it required another specialist or another doctor. There was probably at one point in time like 9 different specialists coming in to take care of a fragment of his body, and not one that dealt with the body as a whole. So that was my job. I was there to do that for him. I was there by his bedside, guiding him into meditations, doing the imagery, doing hands-on healing, doing everything I knew how to do to make sure that he returned to health. And sure enough, he did. He came out of the hospital so much better, and they were literally calling him a miracle case because his heart had done so well that the doctors couldn't imagine what had happened overnight with him, from what seemed to be from one day to the other. So anyways, that's a whole other story. But it's, you've got to do your job. You've got to participate in the healing process. It's your body. It's your responsibility. You probably got it sick, so you might as well take the responsibility of getting it well again, okay? Now, the interesting thing, too, is that there's always an emotional aspect of like in a mirror. It's almost an emotional reflection to all disease. And so we're going to use that presupposition that there's going to be some emotional aspect to all disease, to all ailments, to anything that may be bothering you, and that corresponds to your body. Louise Hayes has talked about this a long time. She talks about maybe when someone has problems with the pancreas, and the pancreas is diseased, that a lot of times it has to do with not enjoying the sweetness of life. When people have problems with the heart, it's always connected to some kind of a love issue, a relationship type issue. When things are involving breath and breathing are often because people feel like they're smothered to death, that they can't breathe, they don't have space to breathe, they feel a weight on their chest. And so we want to make sure that when we are looking at illness, we want to consider what are some of the things that we may be experiencing in our life. What are some of the relationships we may have? Maybe our jobs, the people that we know that make us feel a certain way that may be allowing illness to express itself as it does in the body, and begin to, through meditation and imagery, begin to maybe soften those images of those people or eliminate them all altogether, or whatever it might be. We'll talk more about that as we move forward. But it's, it is interesting to me anyway, how medicine just can't always make the connection between the mind and the body, but yet it does when it comes to the body and the mind. Just think of all the psychotropic medicine that exists out there. Because you're not feeling well, you begin to not, your body's, because you're feeling ill, if your body's not feeling well, then in your mind you begin to get depressed about the illness that you have, and then you get medication for your depression, or be what it may. And it's just, it's something, or sleeping pills, because you can't sleep because you're so stressed out. So yeah, the body can create a mental state, but yet there's no connection with the mental state creating a body state. So I totally know for a fact, in my years of doing this, which is now 46 years of doing Silva and working with people of all types, that the mind definitely does make a difference in your physiology. Definitely does that. So without a doubt, I'm totally convinced, and I'm going to move forward with that approach. So again, just remember, guys, if you have any questions, just drop me a line and I'll be happy to be there for you. Let me see. Klaus saying, hi, Lauda. Thanks for offering the webinar. Looking forward to it. So thank you, Klaus. I'm always so happy to see you show up. Thank you for showing up. And we also have here Michael and Ravi. Thank you. And Anja, always hello, hola. And so it's always a real pleasure to have you all join in. So getting back on track here. Imagery has been used throughout the world for centuries, probably thousands of years, really. I mean, it's something that we know people have relied on for everything, basically. In the book of Healing Visualizations, Dr. Epstein writes that life is like a garden that needs to be tended to. As gardeners, we have special obligations, primarily weeding, seeding, and harvesting. Those are basically what gardeners do. They weed, they seed, and they harvest. Gardens that are full of weeds can't root and flourish. I mean, it's impossible. Illness and disease and negative beliefs are weeds that we have allowed to grow in our personal gardens. Emotions like anxiety, depression, fear, panic, worry, despair, those are also weeds. The beliefs about things being impossible, beliefs that there's no out, that there's no hope, that things are hopeless, those are weeds. And this is where mental imagery is a great technique for clearing out all those old weeds, those negative weed beliefs, thoughts, and attitudes, and be able to replace them with new and positive seed beliefs. Because that way you can plant the seed for new and better things to happen, for health to happen, for wholeness to be a reality for you. But wholeness being whole in every way possible, in spirit, mind, body, and emotions. That is true health. Because if you're only healthy in one aspect, I have a physically healthy body, I'm strong, I can run, I can do all kinds of things, but I'm really sick in mind, or I'm super negative, you're not going to have that healthy body for long. I was seeing a little video clip on YouTube that my daughter sent to me, or asked me to look at. It is really quite impressive. It's a little young boy, and you probably can find it. And he's probably no more than 8 or 9 years old. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But he's a very young boy, and he says, what are you practicing? And he asks you, what are you practicing? Because what you practice, you're going to get really, really, really good at. He goes, and if you practice things like, and I was thinking about maybe a hobby or an interest or something like that, but no, he said, if you're practicing anger, you're going to get really good at being angry. That no matter how good things may be to you, there'll be something wrong and it'll make you angry. If you're practicing worry, you're going to be really good at being worried. If you're practicing, you went on and on and on and on. So basically, practice positivity, practice hope, practice love. And it was really very, very, very well done. And for being such a young boy, he was just so clear. And it was very impactful. So I do encourage you to look it up on Facebook. It's a young boy, and basically it's, what are you practicing? And that was kind of interesting. But yes, we really want to make self-healing a reality for ourselves. You are a healer. You are a natural healer, natural born healer. Your body knows how to heal and return to its natural blueprint of health. That's what it knows how to do if we just simply get out of its way. So we want to make sure that we get out of the body's way, of the mind's way, of your spirit's way, of your emotions way, and just let the body heal by itself. This is genuine hope, power, and authority and freedom that we can gain from mental imagery, because imagery is so powerful. Now, I do have, let me move some of these things around because I've got a lot of stuff going on here. Um, Let me here. I do have a PowerPoint I want to share with you, so maybe this will help a little bit for us to get more of an idea. So, when it comes to imagery here, we want to make sure that we look at it or in a way where it does resonate with you. Imagery is, like I said, the mind thinking in pictures. Imagery is non-logical or illogical in nature sometimes, and connects with our inner subjective reality. It's When it comes to imagery, you really can do whatever it is that you want with your images. It doesn't really matter. I remember a woman fixing, I mean, she was having some digestive or intestinal type problems, and she was imaging that, she had this image of her intestines being like the wires and the hoses in her car motor, because she could relate to that very effectively. She loved working on cars, and she was a very good mechanic, and she was just had a really a lot of passion with cars, and she knew the engines well. But whenever she pictured her intestinal tract that she was having problems with, in her mind, they showed up like the hoses and the wiring inside the car that were broken or messed up. So what she would do in her mind is repair, reconnect the hoses, make sure everything was flowing properly, the wiring was good. And by doing this type of imagery, she was able to heal. I knew of a little boy who was ill, and he had some heart disease, and he was very young. But what he did, instead of picturing the actual heart and how it was supposed to function, he told me that he would picture that he had glued and would always make sure that the ruffle of the heart was glued together nicely, so that the heart was in perfect shape, that it looked really pretty, and it was perfect. And I thought, ruffle? And then it dawned on me that he was picturing a Valentine. A Valentine with a little ruffled edges. And for him, his broken heart showed up like the ruffle coming off from the heart itself. So by gluing the ruffle back to the heart, he was giving himself imagery to heal his heart, and he did. So, imagery is illogical and may not make a lot of sense to most people if you were to explain it to them, but to you, it makes perfect sense. So long as it resonates with you, so long as it moves you inside, then it's good imagery. Okay. All imagery is good, but it's got to resonate with you. It's got to be the type of imagery that is powerful. If you're going to imagine white blood cells and bad cells, well, you want to imagine the white blood cells being stronger, bigger, more powerful, and overpowering the weaker, let's say, cancer cells and that kind of thing. So you can do any kind of imagery. It all will work so long as it resonates with you. It can be accompanied also by physiological and psychological changes. And you know that, as we did in a little demonstration with a hand, your body will respond, but your mind will respond. Your emotions will respond. Your spirit will respond. You'll feel those sensations within you. When the imagery is just right and it makes you feel good, you know it. And that's no doubt about it. Although images have no mass or substance, they do have energy. So that's what we want to make sure that we're very energetically work with these meditative experiences that we're going to have. And that the energy, you can feel the energy fill you, energy of either desire or believe or expectancy or of faith, or energy or a form of sensations. So anything, the tingling, heat, light, anything like that. All of that can be very valuable. We also create images that become agents of healing. then with the energy that they possess, they continue to stimulate the healing process on their own. And we're going to go along with this 4-step process for healing. There are 4 steps to I would say, the preparatory process for healing for it to be most effective. What is intention? Because when you're clear about your intention or a particular task that you want to achieve, you will succeed even more with imagery. Intention is a life force. It's a life force impulse that enables us to make choices. With intention, you will get there faster. And when you have that real desire or that will together with a direction, then you have intention. I remember years ago saying to a friend of mine about a seminar that, was going to be presented somewhere way off. I live in Texas. It's like somewhere off in Washington State or something like that. And I said, God, I really would like to go. And she said, well, if you really want to go, if you really would like to go, you'd go. And it just kind of just stuck to me in a way. It's kind of reached me very deeply inside. The way she said it, when she said, well, if you really wanted to go, you'd go. So matter of factly. And I thought, yeah, you're right. I really do want to go. I'll find a way to get there. And I did. I found a way to attend this session or this seminar that was like every week I had to go up for the weekend for like about 8 weeks. So, I mean, it was costly, yes, but it was well worth it. And I just felt like, gee, the same is true about anything else. If you really want to get well, you will. You'll find the way to make it happen. You will. You'll definitely look and search, and you will get better, because desire with direction is intention. Intention is directed will, and it is essential to all self-healing work. So what is your intention? So one of the first things you do before you apply any meditation or any process or any strategy is set your intention. Be very, very clear. We'll talk a little bit more about that. The next thing is quieting, both externally and internally. And of course, the way we quiet most of the time is through meditation. And so we'll talk, about the quieting process. The third step, which I think is very important, is the cleansing step. It's almost like an unburdening or a relief or a cleaning up stage or step. So the cleansing step is really important, and we'll talk about that, because I think it's one of the most important things, so that you have nothing that is pulling you down, nothing that is contributing to illness, nothing that is sabotaging your efforts to getting well again, nothing there that is sapping your energy away. And so it's really important to cleanse ourselves of all these different things that may be holding health and healing back. And the fourth step is going to be the changing or the letting go. And changing and letting go is also an important step. We need to allow things to be, allow things to happen, move along with them, roll with the punches, so to speak. If you want to put it that way, it doesn't sound too positive, but it's something that is really important for us to be able to allow the healing to take place. We need to be flexible in as many ways as we can, as many ways as possible. But it's really, I think it's important that we look at this whole thing, this process in a very special way, and take it from these different steps that we're talking about. Now, let's go with intention, for example. Intention is an aim or a plan. It helps you to be clear about a particular task. Again, it's like the life force impulse that enables us to make choices. As I mentioned, also, will with direction is intention. Other words for intention would be things like deliberateness, forethought, pre-planning, strategizing, or anything like that. So when you have an intention, you're going to prepare yourself for the journey. You're going to do what it takes in order to get to the outcome. You're not going to stop at anything. You're not going to hold back. You're going to keep your eye on the goal, and you're going to make it happen. And I'm telling you, not only because of the experience I've had with other people, but also in personal experience. I know what it takes to put, how much energy and effort it takes to get outcomes achieved. And sometimes the most challenging outcomes are probably the easiest ones. And you might not think that, and if you're not thinking that, then you are impeding the process. If you think, oh my God, with this illness, there's nothing can be done, you're not helping yourself by saying that or thinking that or believing that. So there's an aspect of congruency that has to be there across the board. And you have to be very deliberate about what you're thinking. You got to put some really good thought into it and make sure that everything you do is going to support the healing process. My children's husband, my husband, father, my ex-husband, he passed away last year, the year before, from a glioblastoma, a brain tumor. And we talked so many times, even no matter how many times I would go for the healing to do healing on him or meditations, whatever, he was still in the position of saying, it's what happens, what is done to me, not the role I'm playing, not his diet, not his exercise, although he was seemed to be very fit and seemed to be all together, there's still something that was impeding him and something that was taken away from his health and his wholeness. I mentioned him because he didn't put much effort in getting well. He didn't put much effort into any kind of hopeful outcome. And, fortunately for him, he died peacefully in his sleep. But just yesterday, I was at a funeral of a woman who was a great person, elderly. She passed away in her 90s, and she was quite a mover and a shaker and a very strong woman. And we all loved and admired her. So we were there with a family, and one of her daughter-in-laws happens to have a glioblastoma, and she's fighting it. She's doing everything she knows to do to make it better. Her nutrition, the way she kind of moves her body to the best of her ability, her attitude, she believes in prayer. She welcomes it. She talks to people about that. She keeps herself looking really attractive in spite of how hard it is for her to get up and going during the day. And she's showing signs of improvement. And it's just, you see that the quality of life, if nothing else, so much better in her experience than I saw in my ex-husband's experience. And it's unfortunate, but you can see that her efforts are truly paying off. She really is putting everything she's got into her getting better. I mean, her desire is there, and I truly believe that she's going to make it happen for herself. Let's see. There's a question here by Raja. It says, while healing myself, should I see myself as one person or second person, or as mind movies or mental screen, like watching a film? Again, Raja, it's going to depend on you. How are you going to resonate more with the process that you're using? Not everybody's the same. I usually like to do all of the above. I sometimes picture myself as a movie on a mental screen, and I'm picturing myself or strong or energetic or doing things, in a certain way. But then I also experience myself I'm in the experience. I really believe in being in the experience of health, of being whole, of being healed. Again, programming into the future as if it has already happened. I follow Dr. Joe Vitale on Instagram sometimes because he's a lot of fun to follow. And I think it was yesterday he said something about, like believing that the outcome has already happened. But that's what we've been saying for as long as I can remember. All my life, I always heard my father say, pray believing you have already received. And not only that, but he got that from someone who said it 2,000 years ago, Jesus. He said, pray believing you have already received. So I think, however it is, when you go into the experience of being healthy, whole, complete, of having returned to wholeness again in every way, that you go into the experience, into that, in the body of the healthy you, and experience it fully, so you can get the sensation like, yes, it's happened, it's done, kind of thing. So you need to experiment as to what is going to be the most effective for you, whether it's going to be a movie, whether it's going to be being in the experience, the first person, second, third person, or all of them. It doesn't cost you that much more time to do them all. So find what works best for you and just do what it takes to make it happen, okay? So thanks for asking that question. I look forward to more questions like that. It's always very welcome to have these questions here. Let me see, is this here? Okay, so here we are going in with the whole idea. I think we're talking about still about intention. And And again, it's deliberateness, forethought, pre-planning, all those kinds of things. And some examples of intention is like, I intend to return to health. What's so hard about that? I intend to have a healthy liver. I intend to have, a healthy pancreas. I intend to, whatever it might be. I mean, it's right there. You've already set the plan. You've already given yourself that kind of direction, and you're going to set the intention in that way. Intention is going to be done from the very beginning. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing this meditation. This is why I'm doing this. But we're going to talk a little bit later, this micro meditation, because we're going to do little micro meditations along the way. And I'll explain more of that as we go. But we have the long meditations that I think are really good to anchor in the experience of health and healing. And then you can have, I usually like to give you, as you noticed recently, the same meditation, but in a shorter version. Maybe the longer meditation you can do at night. Some of you love like those hypno meditations that I did. One person said that it disturbed their sleep or gave them nightmares, and that's okay. Don't do them. You have the other option. You have the shorter version. So I'm saying this because next month I'm going to offer you a health package, and it's going to involve all the different parts of the body that we generally want to keep healthy. But you will have a long meditation that you can do at night, and you can do a long meditation during the day. You have the option of going into sleep or bringing yourself out. But you also have a shorter version of the same meditation, and you have micro meditations that last anywhere from 1 to 3, maybe 5 minutes, if that long, that you do several times during the day. But we'll talk more about that. So we call those micro meditations, and those are like the way that you zap more energy into what you're doing. Okay, so kind of like the zap meditations, but these are done for healing, and they're done a little bit longer than just a zap meditation. Okay, so there, I think we're clear about the intention. The intention is done early. It's very clear. Any intention is good. Any kind of imagery that you're going to engage is good, so long as it resonates with you. All right. The next step is going to be in quieting. So we want to make sure that we quiet our inner experience and our outer experience as well. Externally, we want to have a space that helps us to concentrate on the task that we're engaged in, so we can move forward. And also we want to lessen the distractions and all the everyday annoyances. Sometimes your phone ringing or the noises outside. Maybe there's construction going on. Maybe you have a pet that comes in and out and licks your fingers off, like mine does, to kind of wake me up because he thinks I'm asleep instead of meditating or whatever it might be. So you want to make sure that you make the external space around you special. I know a lot of people like to meditate while they're maybe in a train or the subway, while they're whatever. I think when it comes to the healing meditations that you'll do maybe 3 times a day or more, that I think it's going to be important that you select your special sacred place, because you really want to give this practice more importance and value. We are talking about your health, and if you don't have health, what do you have? Really nothing, right? So we want to make sure that this external space is more special. Maybe it's a quiet area, a nice relaxing chair. Maybe the room is nicely, lit or like dimly lit. Maybe it's whatever. I mean, you know you better, all right? But just so you can do your meditations and your micro meditations, you can do them also in this very special sacred place, or you can do them as long as you pause and you don't have any distractions. That's probably the best thing because they're very short. Now, internally, we've always talked about relaxation as meditation being the ideal internal kind of quieting. So we want to quiet the external space so that we can have a more quiet internal space. And we do that through relaxation. And that we do for all meditation, ideally. Ideally, if you can, make sure that you have a really nice, quiet internal space as you do the external space. And meditation, in this process that I'm talking about, the meditation itself is done for the longer, deeper programmings, and the micro meditations are done for the fast, quick 1 to 3 minute, 1 to 5 minute reinforcement program, as you can say. Okay, so that's kind of how we're going to move along. Now, the next step that we want to talk about is the cleansing step, and we're talking about cleansing congruently. And that has to be done also externally and internally as well. Cleansing is kind of like cleaning up our act. We want to clean up our act to heal and take a good heart, clear inward look at ourselves and be open to understanding what our bodies and feelings are telling us. We can't do that unless we're paying attention, unless we're really being honest with ourselves and we're being honest with really what's going on externally and internally. Cleansing helps do away with denials, for example. When you confront yourself, when you confront your reality, your life, your relationships, your behaviors, your attitudes, your beliefs, and you really confront them, really, then you're cleaning up your delusions and you're able to shine a light on the habitual destructive patterns that are happening without your awareness sometimes. That's what they're habits. And we need to catch those destructive patterns that we're engaging ourselves in order to heal, because they're energy sappers. And then when we do that, then we can kind of like meet our ailment, face to face, basically, and heal ourselves. Because unless we confront it, our sickness, our disease, our ailment, whatever's bothering us, and we really understand it, we're not going to be able to work with it effectively. As I mentioned earlier, there's an emotional component to all illness. And a lot of times that's the hardest thing that we confront, is the emotional aspect behind ourselves. What's driving us, what's moving us, what's destroying us in some cases. So we want to make sure that the cleansing process has to do with the cleanliness, cleaning up our act in every way that we can. When we're talking about it from an external point of view, I mean, we know how just simply taking a shower feels so good. Makes us feel clean and healthy, and it just brightens us up. I think about the difference in people who are maybe mentally ill, or people who are homeless and who you can't even, they don't have as ease of access to showers and cleanliness as we do. And you can see how there's some kind of a correlation between lack of cleanliness and illness. We know that cleanliness and health do go hand in hand. We know that areas where there's maybe pollution or insanitary conditions, those always lead to disease and bad health. So there is something from an external point of view that we always want to keep in mind, but congruently across the board. Sometimes I come into my office and it's a mess. I mean, like, really, I say, I've got to put papers away, and I'll make sure I set time apart to organize all the clutter, because I can't work effectively from a messy or out of a messy office. My office needs to be flowing and smooth. Just now, I'm doing like a spring cleaning kind of thing. I'm taking out everything to the best of my ability that I have no use for, because I know somebody else will have use for it. And a lot of these things we're donating. My sister wants to do a garage sale. I said, great, I have got loads of things. I'm going to take you for a garage sale. And I'm thinking, like, this doesn't serve me anymore. And if it doesn't serve me right now, then and I keep it, might be even hindering me from moving forward, or working, or from being healthy, or whatever it might be. In New Mindful Prosperity, we talked about dropping off things and making a list of things to drop off. This is what I'm doing right now for myself. I'm going through the process of dropping off things, because it's really important that we go through this drop off process and be able to clean up our act, clean up our environments, clean up our situations. Like even right now, looking back here, some of those things have got to go. I'm going to redo my whole office area, and I've got I'm not going to show you right now because it's a mess, okay? Because I'm cleaning up, but I've got like 100 picture frames hanging on the walls, and I mean, I like my picture frames, but some of them, they serve their purpose, and I'm just going to go ahead and do away with that. But the whole idea of cleanliness is going to be something to be done externally, but more so internally. So when we clean up internally, we really are going to have a sense of unburdening. We're going to be able to free ourselves. And when we're talking about things that have to be cleaned up from an internal perspective, we're talking about things that maybe cause guilt in us. And a lot of times, it's our behaviors, our attitudes, how sometimes we relate to others. Some Some of us, sometimes we want a healthy body, but we have unscrupulous behaviors. We're not very nice, and we're not very living with high integrity, and that has to be corrected as well, because that's part of the cleansing process in order to heal. Some of us know of people who are doing bad things and don't say anything about it. Some of us maybe even engaged in some kind of lying, cheating, or stealing, and that's going to wear and tear on you after a while. It's going to cause its grief on you after a while, because some part of you knows that it's not the right thing to do, or it's not a good behavior, or it's not a good action, be what it may. Morally and ethically, we need to be in line with all things good, because this is part of the cleansing process. These things, if not done, are going to take your energy away. And if you don't have the right kind of energy to move forward with, then the energy to support health is not going to be there. So it's really going to be very, very important that we take time. It's like I said, it's a hard look at ourselves and decide what are we going to do in order to make ourselves return to health along the way. And again, these are kind of things that we need to consider. So we need to be open to understand what our bodies and feelings are telling us, and forgiving, confessing, and exposing whatever needs to be forgiven, confessed, or exposed are ways to clean up our act and to unburden ourselves and be able to move forward in a way that can be very, very effective. Okay, so we want to make sure that we let go what we don't need, that we are doing what we can to get healthier and healthier throughout our living experience. Okay, so we need to then continue to cleanse and make space for new healthy patterns to emerge, for new positive growth, and for wholeness to be part of our life and living experience. And through imagery, we can clear away our denials that something is wrong, clean up our delusions, and really just shine a light to better things to come. So that's step number 3, I believe. And the last step is going to be to change and let go. So this step is also going to be really important, because we must allow change to happen. Be flexible through time, assess and adjust, and make the necessary changes so we can continue to move with the flow of things. Nothing stays the same. That's the thing that we always need to make sure that we're aware of, that nothing ever stays the same. And if we resist change, then we resist the flow of our life's events. So we need to allow things to happen. We need to allow change to occur, not get stuck on the way things have always been. Because resistance to the changing nature of things makes us hold back and tighten up in fear of pain and problems of what's to come. That alone has a potential of having us run into the very pain that we're trying to avoid. So we must let go of things, all ideas, preconceptions about ourselves and about others, about the way things have to be or are not supposed to be. Because you'll notice that as you let go of what's not necessary, kind of the process I'm going through right now in the spring cleaning, letting go of things that are not necessary, you're really able to make the most of not only the present moment, but make space for better things to happen. Remember that focusing on the past always leads to can lead to anger, judgment, set thoughts, memories, feelings, projections, and attitudes that may not be serving you all that well. So sometimes we ruminate on actions past when they're already past. They're not even around anymore. You just gotta let them go. To say, okay, forgive, forget, let go. That's it. Change of heart, change of mind. That's also repent when it comes to yourself. And then focusing on the future leads us to maybe to more fear, because a fear of the potential pain, or fear of what's unknown, what might happen, the uncertainty of what the future might bring. But again, we can't be living in fear either. So make the most of the now moment, of the present moment, and allow ourselves to age with graceful flexibility. I love that statement. Just to age with graceful flexibility. Learn from our experiences in life and be able to just live our living experience in the most positive of ways. Okay, so intention, quieting, cleansing, and changing. Those are the components of a healing state of mind. And what could be better, right? Now, with what you know in Silva, that's going to be the most important thing. Combining those two things, the process and what you already do. So what's needed? You need to make sure that you have engagement of your emotions. I've always encouraged you to make sure that you engage your emotions in every way, because your emotions release that energy out into the field around you, whether it's in the subjective field or the physical field as well. So those emotions is a way you connect with that field around you, and the images, your intentions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, all these things, sensations, is what communicates to the field of what you want to attract into your living experience. Emotions means movement from. A movement experience in response to a stimuli. When the stimuli excuse me, is of a negative nature, the emotion is a negative emotion. There's sadness or fear or anger. But when the stimulus is something of a positive nature, it leads to something positive, and it's going to be a physiological and a psychological experience as well. Remember that. Now, sensations are physical feelings or perceptions resulting from something that happens to or comes into contact with us. The physical form of your feelings, that's where sensation is. And our sensations can come in many, many ways. It can come in the form of twitches or heat or tingling or whatever. I mean, they come in so many different ways that you experience the sensations or that movement of emotions in your body. When you picture an outcome of health that you really desire, believe, and expect to happen, it's going to move you. You're going to emote a certain feeling, a sensation of some kind. You're going to have joy. You're going to sense a tingling within your body. You're going to experience a heat or a light flashing within you, whatever it might be. It's a very unique experience to each person, but you're going to experience that. And the other thing, obviously, that we keep talking about is the images. And the images are always going to be unique to the individual, and they give form to emotions. It's a visual form of your feelings. Images are used to change emotions or sensations. If you want to have a better emotion, you can do it through imagery. If you want to have a more wonderful sensation, you can do it through imagery. That's why when you picture something on your mental screen, that's one thing. It'll make you feel happy, and you want to make that image desirable. You want to make it believable. You want to make it something that you know without a shadow of a doubt is going to happen. But when you step into it, you're going to have the emotions swirling around you, the sensations. This is going to be a jam-packed, amazing experience that you're going to have in order to allow healing to occur. Now, we're going to have, like I said, 3 different approaches to meditations. Or 2. Let's say the long meditation and the micro meditations. The long meditations can be your hour-long nighttime meditations, or they can be a 20 to 30 minute shorter meditation. I mean, that's all fine. The micro meditations last anywhere from 1 to a maximum of 5 minutes. You can do it, I mean, easily. So after your initial long meditation, you need only little reminders to stimulate the body's recollection of its ability to heal. Remember that the body knows how to heal itself. It knows how to return to its perfect blueprint of health. The micro meditations are very short imagery sessions that you do anytime your health condition comes to mind, or no less than 3 times a day. The imagery has done its work the moment you feel a sensation. So just keep at it. Just keep picturing it, or keep yourself in the experience of outcome until you feel that sensation. That sensation is telling you already that the healing is working. If the images that you're using don't evoke a sensation, then change the image and make sure that you have an image that does evoke a sensation. The twitching, pulsations, heat, itching, tingling, pleasure, anything like that. Typically, we do it 3 times a day. But you can also, as my father used to always say, anytime it comes to mind, you can do this micro meditation. In the morning, before your usual daily happenings, so before breakfast, at sometime after noon, and then at bedtime, okay, at nighttime. So morning, noon, night. That's why I put it there to more or less give you that idea of when to do these micro meditations, as well as your regular meditations. But really, the micro meditations can be done like throughout the day. And again, only 1 to 5 minutes in length. The benefits of imagery are both immediately rewarding, and cumulative. So the more you do it, the better it's going to be for you. But it needs to be enjoyable. So make sure that when you're doing these meditations, you're going to find a lot of joy in this. So this is how you're going to practice it. You're going to sit or stand comfortably, because the 1 minute, the micro meditations, okay, we're talking about micro meditations. The regular longer meditations you can do anytime you want as well. And you can do it morning, noon, and night. Again, 5, 10, 15 minutes, an hour, it doesn't matter. You pace yourself. But once that initial long meditation is done, all you really need to do are the micro meditations. So you can do it sitting or standing. Then you state your intention. I'm going to do the micro meditation because I'm going to heal my liver. Okay. And then you state your intention. You close your eyes, breathe deeply, slowly, rhythmically, just quiet yourself down and do the imagery until you feel the sensation. So then you just close your eyes. I'll show you. Basically, this is what I would basically do. If I was working on something in particular, I would just kind of, okay, so just pause. I'll say, okay, it's time to heal my heart. I would just get into the experience. I can picture myself running and dancing and just enjoying life to the fullest and having ease of movement. And my heart is just maintaining my whole physiological state. And then I can get into the experience of how wonderful it is to have a healthy, functioning, beating heart. And I think, yeah. That would be it. Okay, again, you can spend more time on it, but that's basically what you need to do, is that it doesn't take a long time to do your micro meditations, and you can do them as long as you want, but no more than 5 minutes, okay? But get the sensation going, make sure the imagery really moves you, it lifts you, it's invigorating, that you create that sensation, and do it as often as you want, but no less than 3 times a day, all right? So your long meditations you do at least once, and the micro meditations will support you from then on as you move forward through time. All right. So just make sure there's nobody wanting to ask questions here. Note here. Oops. I hope that's clear. So one of the questions here is I'm not able to use visualization plus any tips. Again, Robbie, yes, we can do the visualizations. Visualization is really, really simple. Remember, don't complicate it. It's remembering something. That's visualization. You remember how it feels to be happy? Think of yourself happy. Whatever comes to mind, whatever form appears, or whatever form appears in your mind, that's visualization. Don't think it's seen. It's not going to be seen. It's just that I know what happy looks like. I know what miserable looks like. I know what vitality and strength and health looks like. I know what a bodybuilder looks like. I know what someone who's really ill looks like. So when you know how something looks like, that's visualization. So it's not complicated, because, if you're complicating it, you're almost resisting, in a sense, resisting the healing from occurring. You're resisting the goodness to happen if you're going to say, I can't visualize. This is one of the most important steps in healing, is imagery. And it's not a complicated situation. If you have dreams, can you remember some of your dreams? That's visualization. Can you remember what it was like to jump into a lake or into water? That's visualization. Can you imagine, can you remember what it felt like when you cut yourself while you're maybe chopping some vegetables and you cut yourself and you go, ow, that's visualization. All of that is visualization. Imagery is just making a picture up. One of health when you've been sick, one of happiness when you've been miserable, one of joy when, so don't complicate it, okay? Don't complicate it. Keep it simple, because that's where you're going to find the real results in keeping it simple, okay? And when you're doing these micro meditations or any meditations, you can work on as many different ailments as you wish or need, according to what you vibrate to, whatever moves you. Okay. So if you feel comfortable working on 2 or 3 things, go for it. That's fine. Just go ahead and do it. Don't let anything hold you back. The point is, take action. That's what we need to do, is to take action to make goodness happen in our life. That's the main thing that we want to do, is take action. So don't create any kind of resistance to the great things happening in your life. Okay, just make sure that we're doing all that is necessary and possible to make good things happen for yourself. So that's how we're going to practice it. Now, the idea here is that when we restore the imagination to its place of equality with logical thinking, we do open ourselves to change and renewal. We give ourselves a chance to enjoy the constant succession of now moments as they unfold. Don't be living in the past. You don't want to be living in the past. Don't be worried about the future, because all you have is right now. And it's in the now moments that you're able to do your meditations and your micro meditations to boost up the healing process and return to wholeness. That's what we want more than anything else, is to return to wholeness. I hope this really helps. I hope the 4-step process helps. I hope the micro meditations that you will be engaging in also help, because it's going to be important that we practice all these things. Now, when you do any kind of imagery for healing, and you know how to do this imagery for healing. Excuse me. Raja says, thanks, Lada. What if our mind rejects or does not accept a picture or scene? Our mind presents opposite picture instead of desired one. Again, that's like your mind and your ego objecting. So you don't want your mind or your ego to be objecting to anything. So when that happens, you say cancel, and you force that scene out. Just push it out, erase it, whatever it might be, and create. Even you have to describe it in detail. It's going to take a discipline for you, because your ego is getting in the way of you achieving the outcome of health, whole, and goodness. So you might want to question, why am I resisting health or healing? Do I feel I don't deserve it? Do I feel I'm not worthy of it? Is it something along those lines? I mean, questions always lead to answers. The right answers will be there. But when it comes to the images, make sure you move the picture out, erase it, and force a positive image of you, healthy, whole, and complete. Go back in time. Look at a photograph of you when you were healthy, whole, and complete. Look at it. Memorize it. Close your eyes. Picture yourself that way, healthy, whole, complete. Look at it again. Look at the picture again. See it again. Do it again, until you finally, your body, brain, and mind, they get the message. We're here to work. We're here to do something good for ourselves. We're here to get this outcome done. But again, it's going to go along with the cleansing. It's going to go along with your intentions. It's going to go along with your meditations, okay? All of this is part of the process to returning to wholeness, all right? So I want you to make sure that you do practice this, and that you are able to create the images of healthy, whole, and complete. Right now, because you don't have the health package yet that we're going to offer next month, but right now what you can do is use your mirror of the mind. The mirror of the mind technique is going to be one where you're going to picture the problem scene, erase it in the blue frame mirror, move the mirror towards your left, change the frame to white, and then project the outcome that you want, that of being healthy. Once you have the outcome that you want of being healthy, you're going to step into the you in the image that's healthy, and then experience it fully and completely in every single way. And so as you experience it fully and completely, you lock it in. Remember, with your 3 fingers technique. Now it's set. Now in your micro meditations, all you need to do during the day is lock in your 3 fingers, set your intention. I'm going to send energy to heal my heart. Put your fingers together, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and go back into that experience of being healthy, whole, and complete. How wonderful it is. And you do that for 1 to 5 minutes, and then open your eyes and get going. You do that at least 3 times a day, or every time your illness comes to mind. Okay? I hope this helps. I hope you're able to get a lot of this out of this, because I really, really know that you not only deserve to be healthy, whole, and complete, but you deserve it for the rest of your life. All right, my friends. Now, if you're writing to me and I don't get back to you right away, it's because I'm traveling a lot. I leave again tomorrow, but I'll do my best to check on your messages and your emails and things of that nature. Just be patient with me sometimes, because I'm doing all of this as much as I can all by myself, because I want to do it. I want to be here for you. So, keep in touch. Keep me posted with your progress and let me know how well you're doing. Some of you have told me through YouTube that some of the goals you have set, you've surpassed them. I mean, way and beyond. And I'm so happy to hear that. So keep up the good work, keep the faith, keep the programming, keep your intention clear, quiet down, cleanse, and do what you have to do to get better again. Okay? All right. Love you guys. Bye.